Well, hello, friends. I am Gerrick Angel, and I am here to invite you to dream bigger, vibe higher, and watch it happen. Dream bigger, vibe higher, and watch it happen. And it's my intention to bring to you small practices that you can work into the life that you already have now. And these small practices will make a profound impact on your ability to manifest the life that you really want to live. On today's video, I'm actually going to give you permission to step back, let it go to let it grow. Step back, let it go in order to let it grow. And what I'm talking about really is the creative process. If you are watching this video, you probably are a very spiritual person, and you know that if you want to change something, if you want to experience something, if you want to manifest something, you begin with things like prayer, affirmations, maybe a vision board, those type of things. But at a certain point, you have to trust the process. You have to trust that you've planted the seeds and that those seeds will, in fact, produce the crop that you're trying to produce. Now, whenever I make a video, it's really for myself, but I just like learn in public and out loud. And so I had a recent experience. As you know, I'm relatively new to YouTube. I think I've been doing this for maybe about 3 months. And I started off by doing about 2 to 3 videos a week. And there was a bit of consistency there, and it was fantastic. It was fun. And I remember that probably 6 months prior to this, I thought, I should start creating YouTube content. But the reality is, it took me about 6 months. And during that 6 months, I kept affirming to myself that I was a YouTube content creator. And because my attention was on being a YouTube content creator, I felt attracted to different things, YouTube videos about being a YouTube content creator, people who had already walked this journey before me as examples, as leaders. And so I learned some things along the way. And what I realized as a spiritual person who wants to also be successful in the physical world, for me, what's important is to hold on to my spirituality first, foremost, and always, not exchange it and not think that some spiritual thing will grow or manifest automatically when I'm only tending to the physical part of me. And so, like I said, I had a lot of consistency, video after video after video. Then some life experiences happened. I had to clean out the garage relatively quickly. My car had an issue. My apartment had electrical issues, plumbing issues. I also took a trip to Sedona for the first time. My best friend came into town from out of town. I created a new group with a minister friend of mine. So a lot of life stuff happened. And for about a month, I didn't create any videos. And in the back of my mind, I'm going, they always say when you first start off, you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent with the videos. You have to put out a video every day. You have to put out a video at least a couple of weeks, And so in the back of my mind, I'm going, wow, I'm cleaning out the garage and I should be putting out a video. My best friend's in town. Should I get my camera out? And while he's here, should I be making videos? Or should I just enjoy his company? So I got to go through all of this in my head, and I chose to remember something that I said in a previous video. So remember this other video. It says it's okay to take a break. It's not only is it okay to take a break, it is important to take a break. It is required to take a break. Why is this? The creative process works the same way everywhere. Nature shows us how it works. If I want apples, I plant apple seeds. I can't rush the apples to grow. I can fertilize the soil, I can water the soil, I can make sure that there's not too much shade, that the right amount of sunlight comes in. But the reality is, I am not going to be able to pick an apple and make a pie until that seed goes through its own process. And the reality is, I plant that seed in dark, wet, nasty soil, and it has to sit there. And again, I make sure I give it the water. I make sure that I fertilize it. I make sure that it gets the right amount of sunlight. But I can't rush the process. And so all of life really works that way. Like I said, I started YouTube, thinking about YouTube about 6 months ago. And then it really took me about 6 months to actually sit in front of the camera and hit record. And so the same process, whether we call it nature, whether we call it YouTube, whether we call whatever we call it, it always works the same. A child. A child is born, and you look at this brand new baby and go, wow, that's going to be a tall kid. Now, just because you know it's going to be a tall kid doesn't mean you start feeding him steak when he's, a brand newborn, and you don't start stretching the kid so that it's like, well, we know you're going to be tall, so let me just stretch you. No, it's going to happen naturally. You absolutely feed the child. You absolutely make sure you give the child the right amount of rest, the right amount of exercise, but you can't make that child be any taller at any point in his life until he's supposed to be that tall. So again, you get to trust the process. Um, you know, I love to travel, and when I travel, I have found that it's very important for me to take my time packing. It's a very thoughtful experience. Why? Because if I take my time, I probably won't forget anything. However, if I try to rush the process, that's when I forget my phone charger. If I try to rush the process, that's when I forget my medication. If I try to rush the process, that's where I forget my socks. Okay. So again, if I take my time and trust, then whatever I need shows up for me. I will remember it, I will recall it, and I will be able to do it. So, again, on the physical, I had this intention of creating YouTube content relatively consistently. But the reality is, there was a period of time where I needed to look at the physical things in my life and give them my attention. Now, consistency. Here's what's important. What's important is to be consistent in spiritual practice. Painters were showing up at my door at 8 a.m., but that didn't stop me from waking up in the morning and meditating. My best friend was in town. I absolutely wanted to spend time with him, and I still meditated. I still prayed. I still said affirmations. So the things that we do as a spiritual being don't stop, because that's where everything begins. Anything that you've ever wanted to accomplish and then accomplished began as an idea. Think of that idea as an apple seed. You plant it and you give it your attention on a regular basis, right? So again, I want to make an apple pie, but I'm not worried about, let me pull the apple out of the ground so I can make a pie. More importantly, let me tend to this apple tree. Let me fertilize the soil. Let me water the soil. And then when the apples start to show up, then I go to the next step of making a pie. So here's the next piece of that, though. When we grow, we definitely have an integration period, and it's a beautiful thing. And so look forward to this no matter what it is you're creating, because there will always be a bounty. You will always get more than you think you're going to get. So for instance, again, we're going to talk about this apple tree. You plant the seeds, you tend to the soil, and then eventually you start to have apples. Well, what happens is at first, oh, I have an apple. How cool. I'm going to eat an apple. Then you have 2 apples. Ooh, I have an apple. I'm going to eat an apple, and I'm going to give one to my next door neighbor. Oh, now I have a whole bunch of apples. I'm going to make an apple pie and I'm going to give apples to my neighbors. Then you end up with more apples than you know what to do with. And this is where we get to integrate. We went from not having apples to an overabundance of apples. And so now I'm making apple pie, apple bread. I'm giving away apples. I'm making, apple jam. And it really gives me the opportunity to change my lifestyle, right? Like I was a guy who was growing just so that I could have apples. But because of the overabundance of apples, it has pushed me to be a more friendly neighbor. Now I'm sharing my apples with my neighbor. It's pushed me to be a more friendly coworker because now I'm taking apples to work to give away because I have so many. And so trust the process. Give yourself permission to step back and let it go so that you can let it grow. Again, I can plant an apple seed, but I cannot force an apple tree to grow. I can look at a child and go, wow, both of your parents are tall and you were born really, really long. I have a feeling this is going to be a tall child. Well, I can't pull that child to make that child grow any faster. The process has to happen itself. And so the important takeaway from this video is trust the process. Hang on to your spiritual practice. It's just like tending to your soil. It's just like feeding that child. You don't stop feeding a child because, wow, he's already a year old and I could tell he's got long fingers and he's going to be tall, but he hasn't grown tall yet. I'm going to stop feeding him. I guess it doesn't work. That's not how it works. You're going to still feed that child. So you're going to still do your spiritual practice. You're still going to pray. You're still going to set intentions. You're still going to say affirmations. You may still create a vision board. But because you aren't physically doing anything, doesn't mean nothing's happening. Everything begins in the invisible with an idea out of nothing physically. And then from that, a process takes place which creates the opportunity for that which we've planted to grow. And then when it grows in overabundance, which gives us the opportunity to integrate and to grow to match that which we've planted and which is actually growing and harvesting. So trust the process. Step back. Give yourself permission to let it go so that we can let it grow. And most importantly, remember to dream bigger, vibe higher, and watch it happen. Dream bigger, vibe higher, and watch it happen. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not already a subscriber, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button so that we can continue this journey. And in fact, after you subscribe, you can click the notification bell. That way, the second I put out a video, whether it's a couple of weeks or a couple of months, whenever it comes out, you'll be notified on it so that we can be on the same page doing the same work together. There's something so powerful about doing this work together. I would love it if you would leave a comment. Let me know what's working for you, what's not working for you. Maybe you have a question or an idea for a future video. Leave it in the comments. And when you leave your comment, let me know where you are because it's kind of cool to see where you're from. And on that note, I know that I have several friends in South America. If it is better for you to enjoy this content in Spanish, guess what? Hit the closed caption button. It's already closed captioned in Spanish and you can watch it in Spanish. Share it with your friends. Most importantly, just thank you so much for watching. Have an absolutely gorgeous day and I will do the same. Thank you.